I pronounce it?
Chukurova, like CH-ish. Chukurova.
Okay. All right, we're live, everybody. Welcome back to the Illinois Green Party series. I'm your host, David Rich. We got Gokhan Cukurova here, a fellow Green Party member. And we're going to talk tonight about the Israeli-Gaza complex because it is on everybody's mind. And I thought, as a political party, we should at least dedicate one show to that discussion. I don't want to get, my life too wrapped up in it because as awful as it is, I mean, what do you do? But Gokhan wanted to talk about it. So what are your thoughts on that? What do you think?
Uh, I wish I could fit my feelings and my thoughts in an hour. I'm gonna do my best, David. Thanks for having me back again.
Of course.
As you know, I was born and raised in Turkey.
Yeah.
So those who may not know, Turks have very significant historical ties to the region. And today, is that the storm behind you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Crazy. Today's problems, as everybody knows, is deep rooted.
Oh yeah.
But I don't think we can talk about this issue without bringing religion in it, because religion is basically the reason all these people are claiming the area. Just as a housekeeping, I am not an Arab. I am not a Muslim. I am not Jewish. I don't have any religious feelings, especially in this game. But as everybody knows, Jerusalem, especially, is a sacred place for all monotheic religions: Jews, Christians,
The
Muslims.
the three
Uh,
biggies. Yeah.
right. So it is, and I mean this with no insult, no intention to hurt anybody's feelings, but to me, it is funny that uh, a book written 2,000 years ago says, I give you this land, I promise you this land. And 2,000 years later, you say, hey, this was given to me. God promised me this. Next thing you know, a couple hundred years later, Native Americans come back and say, hey, guys, get out of here, and throw us out of United States. It has some similarities, and
Oh, perfect similarities. Yeah.
a lot. Um, and have you heard of Epic of Gilgamesh?
Well, of course.
All right. So a lot of stories from the Old Testament
Yes.
comes from
Yeah.
Epic of Gilgamesh.
They
Uh,
wouldn't
they,
admit
they,
that, but that is true. Yes.
exactly, exactly. So as human beings become or started to become more intelligent, more able, more capable, they become uh, more opportunistic and greedier, I think. And this power trips. This is my personal opinion,
Mm.
because I am not a religious person at all. Um, some people got a hand of Gilgamesh, Epic of Gilgamesh, and start copying and pasting. And then it comes into the Bible
Mm.
and then the Quran. And I'm sure what I'm talking about here is going to ruffle some feathers, even including in my family. But that's fine. I'm here to share my personal and honest opinions here. Long story short, as you know, people invade countries and power is distributed by how big of a war you win, and borders are always drawn. And my ancestors had the Ottoman Empire and
Mhm.
15 more empires before that. So we know what it is. But
Mhm.
unfortunately, this is unending. This has to stop somewhere on both parties of the conflict. Um, so today's problems also kind of comes from wrong judgment or decisions from their ancestors. I'm going to give you an example. Turks, the Ottoman Empire, controlled the Palestine for centuries.
Mhm.
And even some of the walls in old Jerusalem today were built by Turkish sultans
Wow.
for protection. They still stand. During World War One, Ottoman Empire, of course, about to collapse. And imagine it was such a strong empire, it took them 180 years to collapse. 180
Wow.
years
Yeah.
just to collapse, slowing down, stopping, stop growing, and going down and down. 180 years. During this time, of course, Jewish feelings towards Jerusalem has never stopped. Thousands of
Right.
years. That's fine. We all know that. And Ottoman Empire in financial trouble, they send a representative to the Sultan in Istanbul.
Mhm.
They say, please give us Palestine and we will pay all debt of your empire.
Cool.
And he doesn't get offended with this, even though I will not name the Sultan. I very much dislike him. He keeps his cool and he says, we took that land hundreds of years ago by blood. We'll only give it by blood. But I will allow you guys, I will allow the Jewish people to go there, live there, own piece of property and land, and live peacefully. We will just not allow you to buy it off and start your own state. In return, help us with creditors in London. That's where they owe most of the money. They agree, and the Sultan uh, gives him some sentimental gifts before he let him go out of the palace. This is where aggressive land buying started by Jewish people in Palestine. And at the same time, as you know, the British Empire is the master of divide and conquer. They have also played with some of the Arab leaders. I'm not using a generalization here. Some of the powerful people in Palestine to rise up against the Ottoman Empire. So promise them independence from the Ottoman Empire. That weakens the hand of the Ottoman Empire in the region, of course. That's what I was talking about when I say earlier, um, people who live in the region right now is basically, to a degree, paying the fault of wrong decisions of their ancestors about a century ago. I have this book. I will highly, highly recommend it about the topic. If anybody wants to read it, it's a very old book, but it has a very deep look in the roots of the problem. So, coming back to October 7, it is not possible for someone to not to get upset with this. What happened? Anytime innocent people getting killed cold blood, but Palestinian people have been getting this kind of treatment and injustice for 75 years or longer. I think Israel has lost the war on moral grounds far too long ago. This has been happening too long. And my honest opinion, follow the money. Who's benefiting from this? I'm almost 50 years old, and I remember my entire childhood. Philistine, Israel, Palestine, and Israel conflict. But the sentiment towards Palestinian people in the United States is horrifying. But I don't blame the regular, everyday American people because they are the victim of mainstream media, aka propaganda machine. Because tell me if you have seen a video like this: several IDF soldiers capturing 8, 9-year-old boys, putting them on the ground with rocks, breaking their arms and legs. Have you seen things like that? I have seen those footages when I was in elementary school. Independent media. It was more independent. What did those kids do? They were agitated and they were throwing rocks at soldiers. So, who's benefiting from this war? American war machine, ultra right wing Israelis. I mean, Netanyahu would be in big trouble if he didn't get reelected or if this war didn't start. And Gaza, especially, is or has been a tiny open air prison. Everything is controlled there. Everything: food, medicine, water, electricity. And on October 7, Hamas fired 1,000 rockets or whatever. How did this really happen without them knowing? I mean, it wasn't a one or two rocket. Hamas didn't go into Israel to kill 5 people. I mean, they kidnapped and took hostages of hundreds of people and killed 1,200, if I remember. So this is a massive operation. And Gaza being an open-air prison, very long time, I don't buy it, David. I don't buy it. I mean, they are trying to sugarcoat it and sell it to the world media, but I don't know, man. I mean, you got cameras everywhere. You're listening every phone conversation. And yes, Hamas has a solid following in Gaza. They rule Gaza since 2006 or so. Yeah, but still, I mean, Israel's response being so slow caused 300 plus young people being butchered by those thugs at the music festival. I don't know. I don't want to say, or I don't want to repeat or voice conspiracy theories, but reading a lot of history, these things has happened before, and I wouldn't be surprised if it happened again. Because just like our former president Netanyahu was also uh, had a lot of bribery, corruption charges against him. So yes, one might say that, oh, he will be paying the price because he couldn't keep Israelis safe. But he would, what kind of price? He won't be going to jail any longer because he could go to jail for bribery and corruption charges. Not anymore. And it's not a coincidence to me that when Isaac Rabin, I think it was, a prime minister of Israel during Bill Clinton, he shook hands with Yasser Arafat and started probably the most serious peace talks. And then he got assassinated. And that's when Netanyahu literally took off his political career. So I don't believe all these things are coincidences. And I have seen videos of Netanyahu admitting, like I'm watching him. It's not AI. It's an older footage. Him saying we will never allow independent Palestine, and in order to do that, we have to support Hamas. This is Prime Minister of Israel saying we have to support, and that's what we've been doing. So it's too complicated,
Yeah.
but thousands of people being bombed, even bombed in refugee camps, hospitals. Imagine a drug cartel in Mexico crossing the border and killing a few hundred people in an American small town by the border, and the United States going and just eliminating an entire city or cities. How would that be fair? It wouldn't be. I thought I put myself into Israel's shoes. Like, how would I react to this? My uncle David, my mom's oldest brother, was a victim of terrorism. In 1983, he was a high-ranking officer in Turkish military and stationed in not far from Iraqi border, chasing terrorists in the mountains. They were crossing the border and attacking Turkish villages. And my uncle was going after them. 1983 when he was attacked. I was 8 years old. So I know the feeling when somebody cross the border, come and attack, burn your villages, or kill your people. So I can kind of share the feeling of people in Israel. And yeah, my heart goes out to them. I mean, I wouldn't want to have any family relative killed in a music festival or taken hostage by Hamas. But also remember what I said: Israel lost the war in the moral grounds a long time ago. Now, almost 30,000 people dead. A lot of them, more than 10,000 of them, are children. So here's a question we have to ask ourselves very honestly. It's a tough question to ask because the answer is tough too. Hamas goes in there, kills 1,100, 1,200 people. Does that make them terrorists? In my opinion, it does. Thugs, terrorists, you name it. But then in return, you go in, you kill 30,000 people, and say the 20,000 of them adults, and just for the conversation's sake, all 20,000 of them were Hamas members. You just killed 10,000 children. That makes you a terrorist too. I'm sorry. You can't just go bomb an entire neighborhood to kill one person. It's not that. I mean, so
Hospitals
many
and
of
schools,
their
and yeah.
exactly this is against human rights. This is against international laws. This is against everything we value, especially after we have the Holocaust etched in our brains.
Yeah.
And this violence, this barbarism is coming from the grandchildren of people who experienced the most brutal barbarism we have footage of. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, our mainstream media is not even allowed to show what you can see in Turkish television or other European uh, news outlets. Children without legs, and nobody is even able to help. A father carrying a 5-year-old boy with no legs or no head. Imagine that. So just think about it. Most of these people who lost a child will probably be willing to, maybe more than willing to, sign up as a suicide bomber
Yeah.
because you just ruined them. You're done. So what should they do then? I mean, you can ask me what would you do, or what should Netanyahu do? Just sit and say, "Oh, okay, you guys came across the border and killed my people." Unfortunately, we have to sit down and admit, if there is no apartheid, if there is no oppression, there wouldn't be a Hamas.
Yeah.
And Hamas might
That's
be,
true.
again, this might be kind of a controversial guess, but Hamas might be unknowingly working for the Mossad, for the Israel, unknowingly. You're going to say, how? Why? I remember watching a former Hamas leader's son in an interview at CNN, maybe 15, 20 years ago. Hamas leader's son working for Mossad. And here's what he said. I was shocked watching this. He says, I saved lives.
Tornado siren.
That's okay. Come down then. If the tornado sirens are, come down here then.
Yeah, real quick, the viewers know there's a pretty intense storm going outside. This thing is actually shut down a couple times. I don't know if you noticed that. So it does shut down permanently. I apologize, but we'll keep
Yeah.
And you need to go because you're out just fine. If tornado sirens are going off, Gokhan, we don't have to continue. That's your call.
I don't hear anything. And we have a tornado shelter just like
Okay.
20 steps from me. So, and I used to chase tornadoes. So when I was
Oh,
outside,
nice.
I didn't feel it. The humidity isn't that high. I don't think. I mean, there's a
Okay.
chance, of course, but I don't think there's a high chance for a tornado in our area. But where
Okay.
was I? The guy, he says I was saving lives when I was working for Mossad, because he would tell Mossad where the wanted guy was. So instead of them going and bombing an entire apartment and killing everybody live in the apartment complex, they would go pinpoint and then take him out. So everything is possible. Everything is possible because even though I don't believe in incredible amounts of natural gas resources just found a few miles off the shore from Gaza, it could be, but I haven't seen a proof of it. But October 7th changed a lot of things. Keeps Netanyahu out of jail, keeps Netanyahu in power, and for probably not years, decades, the peace process is now far gone. And whoever is benefiting from war will be responsible, whether it is Israel, Hamas, or not. Both sides of this argument have extremists. I mean, in Hamas's founding declaration, death to Israel.
Right. Yeah.
And there are some real crazy fanatics in Israel call every single Palestinian subhuman, inhuman, animal. This isn't normal psychology, neither one of them. But in both sides, There are people, really, there are people who wants peace.
Yeah.
Imagine this. Imagine this. You live in Israel. You're going to work. You get on a bus. You get on a bus and you don't know if there's a suicide bomber or a bomb planted in that bus. Or you live in Gaza and you don't know. You're going to bathroom and you don't know you're going to come out of that bathroom to see your kids one more time because a bomb will fall on top of you. Why? Because there was a Hamas a leader or whatever was just walking by your street and a humongous bomb falls in your neighborhood and you and your children or maybe your children die in front of you. It is so crazy and I am so devastated with current administration's handling of the situation. I mean, it is obvious that without the United States, there would not be Israel today. We created it.
Mm-hmm.
We nurtured it. We give them taxpayer money every year, millions, if not billions of dollars. When Israeli citizens can get free health care,
Mm-hmm.
have to pay hundreds of dollars for an X-ray. Um, that's not putting America first. No, that's
Yeah.
not that's not it isn't. And the Saudis, I call them this Saudi America. Saudi America. The, 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 the rich dude, the powerful dude in the region is doing absolutely nothing. I don't believe anybody other than Yemen is, and correct me if I'm wrong, because it is so upsetting, especially seeing children and women and elderly suffer so much. Turn down the news quite a bit. So, other than the Houthis in Yemen, nobody is giving open support to Hamas. And nobody is behind them. But nobody is also doing anything to stop Israel's genocide.
That's what I don't. That's one of the. I mean, this whole thing is perplexing to me. But like, I keep wondering. I'm like, why are the other like Muslim nations not doing anything? Like anything, except for Yemen. This is.
Yeah,
I mean, they're not even. It doesn't even. It's unless I'm missing it. They're not. They don't even seem to be like speaking out against it, except for like in a more like diplomatic way in front of the UN and stuff like that. We need to call for a ceasefire. But that's the extent of it. Oh, okay. You said a few words. Big deal. That's not going to do anything. I mean, nothing. They're not even. Egypt won't even open their borders for like the refugees. I don't understand the politics behind that, and I'm sure there is some. I just don't know it.
I believe they are hoping to squeeze Palestinian people in Gaza to turn on to Hamas and get rid of Hamas. But I don't even take that serious because they already said it multiple times that Palestinians are subhuman or animals. So the faster you butcher them, the more occupation, more settlements in West Bank or Gaza. Also, um, this president is almost certainly gonna lose against that orange diarrhea, and it's gonna be even worse. It's gonna be even worse. But how is he like? Just recently, they're trying to send in 50 some $1 million food and aid to Gaza. Really, after you sit and watched Israel butcher all these babies, now the election is coming up. You're like, oh, I'm going to show some sympathy to Gaza. No, I don't believe, uh, if I were a Palestinian American, there is no way, no freaking way that I would vote for Joe Biden.
Oh no, no,
Of
no.
course,
There was actually what's the
yeah,
representative in Michigan that's
Rashida Tlaib. Yeah.
Did not. Don't vote for this guy. She's a Democrat.
You're cutting off. You're cutting off.
Oh, I'm saying Tlaib is just asking her constituents up there to not vote for Joe Biden, and she's a Democrat.
Yes, but why should they?
Yeah.
Anyway, I mean, I would expect the United States to be an honest broker. If you go to Turkey today, and if you say, "Hello, I'm American," people aren't gonna be upset with you. People will be looking at you with sympathy. But as soon as you start talking politics, they will show you how much they hate American foreign policy,
Right. Well, yeah.
just like rest of the world.
I think that like American foreign policy is American. Sorry, I'm just checking the weather. Okay.
Okay.
Can't hear me? I said I think the only government that likes American foreign policy is the American government.
Because they're always right.
Wait, hold on a second, dude. Hold on. Hold on, Gokhan. Hold on. Okay, go ahead.
If United States of America had a strong, independent government, independent from influence of multinational corporations, this problem would have been solved many years ago. And I think Bill Clinton still so far gave the strongest push to solve this problem. A lot of presidents tried. Still, my biggest disappointment was Barack Obama, because he was caught on hot mic how much he disliked Netanyahu, because Netanyahu also is a person with a criminal background in Israeli military.
Mm-hmm.
He is
I didn't know that.
not only in Muslim countries. He's known as a war criminal, being extremely cruel, extremely racist. So Obama pushed for 1967 border, and in front of everybody, he was lectured by Netanyahu in the White House, in front of cameras. What an embarrassment that was. What an embarrassment that was. So he was all talk, no action. He could have solved, because he did have Muslim family members as well as Christian family members. He could have solved this problem.
That's true.
But unfortunately, our government is very much in bed with the lobby and the money. So without United States, I don't believe this problem will be solved. And without United States having a government that is free of money and influence, there will be more bombings, more killings, and more funerals, unfortunately. There was a what was his name? Nahum Goldman. This guy was an ambassador. He was, I think, the president of Jewish Congress around the world.
Hold on a second. I think I hear a siren. Hold on. Right. There's some siren going off, but I don't know what it is. It doesn't sound loud enough to be a I don't know what it is. Go ahead.
So Naum Goldman was, I think, the president of Jewish Conference and World Zionist Organization for many, many years. He was one of the top guys building Israel. Um, and he had a conversation with the president of Israel back then. He says, why should they like us? We came, we stole their land, and why do they have to settle for it? They don't have to like it. The anti-Semitism always existed. Nazis, way before the Nazis. So it's nothing new. Yeah, baby.
Roofs are gonna break.
No, roof is not gonna fly. Don't worry about it. Okay, okay, baby. Don't worry. Why don't you sit over here? You're safe here. Okay. So this guy wrote a few books, and his books are very incredibly hard to find. And if you find it on Amazon, a tiny book is like more than $100. It's ridiculous. But he was very much disowned by his own people because as he got older, he started letting the air out, letting the dirty laundry out, you know? So unfortunately, misinformation is everywhere, and you know the saying, when there is a war, the first victim is always the truth. So
That's interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna read
Did
something
you hear
to
about
you.
the Air Force?
What's that?
Go
Mark,
ahead.
can you go? Edith, go upstairs. What's that?
Me?
Yeah, I couldn't hear you.
Talking to me or your kids?
You.
Oh, I was going to mention the Air Force guy. The Air Force
Yeah.
guy that set himself on fire in protest.
In Washington, D.C., in front of the embassy.
That's wow.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he was not
Yeah.
one of the Arab American service member either.
No, he was a white European American, as far as I know.
Right.
Last name
Right.
was like
Right.
Bush,
Right.
Burschel or something like that. Something.
Right. I want to read you
Anyway, go
something.
ahead. What were you going to read?
I saved this from one of my friends' posts. He was actually my guest on the podcast back a couple months ago. Nima Taraji, he posted this. Until the lion learns to write their own story, tales of the hunt will always glorify the hunter. African proverb. So,
Nice. That's very true.
yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's the whole history is written by the winners kind of idea. I mean, and I just want to go back to the beginning of this conversation. Like, it just, to me, like, just the utter absurdity of like, this is our land because our God promised it to Joshua 2,500 years ago. Even though a billion people in between then and now have actually lived here. So we have some sort of like divine right to this land. I mean, that's just stupid on a multitude of levels. And like you said, what if the Native Americans came up and said, you know what, we want our land back. Oh, you don't want to give it to us? We're just going to take it. I think we'd be a little put off by that. So they would have the exact same right to do it as Israel, if Israel had a right, which I don't think they did. It's the same sort of logic and it's the same sort of argument, and it just doesn't work in any way. And it's just, like you said, religion is at the basis of this. Of course, if all of a sudden everybody in Palestine converted to Judaism, they would become part of Israel, like that.
Right, of course.
Because Israel would have to accept them because they're Jewish. I mean, it's just, it's insane.
Look what happened. 1,200 Jews were killed, sadly.
Very
It
sad.
really was a barbaric, very, very sad event.
Yeah, for sure.
If they were Muslims killed by an Israeli militant group,
right, like some random rogue militant group.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be seeing these issues.
You wouldn't see Joe Biden flying there in a few days.
Right.
I mean, race and religion is definitely in the base of it. I would say I'm gonna message you my friend Rush's name and number. Rush Darwish. He's from Palestine. He's a Palestinian American.
Oh, oh, great.
Incredible guy. Incredible guy. He used to do shows for Comcast Sports Channel. We go way back, and he's done so many nonprofit events for peace in Palestine and Israel. I would love to. I already messaged him about the show. I hope he's watching right now, and I think he would be an incredible guest for you. I will try to
That'd be
hook
great.
you up
Oh, please do. That would be
have your
fantastic. I would love that.
yeah have the viewers of this show get his perspective as well.
100%. That would be beautiful. Thank you.
Hmm.
It's difficult, like, and just it's one of those things of, like, you hope your government, run by the people of your own citizenry, have like the same moral center that each other individual does, and, like, you heard Nancy Pelosi when Russia invaded Ukraine. Oh, the children, the Ukrainian children, the children. Oh my God, the children. What about the 13,000+ children have just been slaughtered? Nothing. Crickets. Nothing. What is? I mean, there's something nefarious. Go ahead. Sorry.
She came out and she said, American citizens who protest and ask for ceasefire should be investigated by the FBI. Looks like I really have to go.
Okay.
I really apologize. Thank you
No,
for
it's okay.
the opportunity, and we'll talk more.
Thank you. No, we had a good conversation. You take care. All right, take care. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Bye. Everybody, thanks for tuning in to the Illinois Green Party Show. Host David Rich. Talk to you later. Bye.